presentation. Don't interrupt them at all. Don't send irrelevant links. Let's stay on topic. This session is basically about the application process. So that would be our focus for today. And let's just have fun. It's going to be a vibe. Okay. Let me quickly talk about Machine Learning Lagos, ML Lagos. So this is just a community for fostering togetherness in the AI space. We're focused on leveraging and learning from Google's AI products and technologies. If you registered for this, they ask you a question, what Google AI tool are you familiar with? So it's a Google affiliated community. And what does ML Lagos offer? Offer different things like technical events, study groups, sessions like this, networking opportunities. You're going to see a few people that you might not have met before in the chat, or even like asking questions. It's very also important that you also try to reach out to our speakers on LinkedIn and just ask them questions. They're very willing to answer you. And the last thing is we have like resource repository where you can get more information to even further your learning and even help you with the grad school application process, okay? So for our agenda for today, we're going almost straight into the session. We're going to have the welcome session, which you've already had now. Then the actual sessions where 2 speakers. Then you go ahead and ask your questions, whatever questions you want to ask. It's a safe space, okay? Whatever crazy questions about getting whatever requirements for grad school. These guys are experienced. They are doing their PhDs and masters and all of those things. So they are the best people to ask one-on-one. This is an intimate space. It's a safe space. And then we'll have announcements and call it an evening because tomorrow is work or school. Let me go ahead and just introduce myself. I know there's a lot of text on the screen, but my name is Ukachi Agnes. I'm a second year at Carnegie Mellon University, Africa. I'm doing my master's there. I'm on the IT program. I got my bachelor's from Obafemi Awolowo University. I have a BSc in electronic and electrical engineering. I'm currently in Finland. I'm at Aalto University. I'm a summer research intern there. All of this just to say that, like, at least I know what I'm doing a bit. I love research. I love anything that has to do with like studying women, studying human-computer interaction, and language. I do a lot. I like to say that I'm a pioneer researcher when it comes to my dialect of Igbo language. Yeah. So that's something that's like very interesting about me. But today is not about me. I'm not the celebrity for today. Let's all calm down in the chat. I can see people clapping. The clap is too much for only me. Please calm down. Calm down. Okay. The clap is okay. It's okay. It's okay. Please. It's okay. We can stop clapping. We have 2 amazing speakers. This way you're not going to start clapping. At this point, you can start clapping. We have 2 amazing speakers today. We have Oyefusi Samuel, who's currently doing his master's. He's a robotics, this guy is a serious guy. He's a robotics researcher at Rochester Polytechnic Institute. And we also have Joan Watu. She's a PhD candidate at the University of Michigan. I want to read their profile so that you guys know the caliber, the timber and caliber of the people that we have here with us today. So Samuel is a PhD candidate. Hold on. He's a PhD candidate. I'm sorry, I'm trying to see. Okay. Yeah, he's a PhD candidate in robotics engineering with a focus on additive manufacturing, with his research interest in human-robot interaction, robot control and learning, autonomy for mobility and manipulation, healthcare robotics and industrial robotics. Samuel is an academic weapon. He's a first-class honors engineer from Mechanical Engineering Department, where he specialized in robotics and automation, from Pan Atlantic University, where he conducted research under the supervision of Professor Christian Bolu and Peter Onu. Okay. Beyond his academics, Samuel is passionate about innovation, sustainable development, and education. He has served as a global ambassador for Their World and envoy for Unleash, and is also a member of the Young People's Action Team for Generation Unlimited Nigeria, where he contributes to initiatives promoting STEM advocacy and empowering young people to solve real-world challenges through engineering, innovation, and creativity. And something you don't know about someone that is not here is someone is currently has a PhD admission to go and start his field. So Samuel is really the person to talk to today. The next person is Joan. Joan has a PhD in doing a PhD, man. She's a fourth-year PhD candidate in computer science and engineering at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. She's currently advised by Radha Mihalsia. She started off as an electronic engineering student at UNN in Nsukka, and now studies how AI systems represent and overlook lower income and underrepresented communities around the world. Her work on socio-economic and geographic representation in visual language and language models has appeared at EMNLP, NAACL, AAAI, and she recently co-delivered a keynote at NeurIPS 2025 workshop on responsible AI. Currently, she's a 2026 Data Science for Social Good Fellow. She cares deeply about widening access to AI research for students across Africa and the Global South. Ladies and gentlemen, now you can clap, a round of applause for our two invited guests, Joan and Samuel. People are not clapping, I need to see more claps. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Joan, for joining us. If you can maybe unmute your mic and just say hi before I go straight into asking the serious questions.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Hi.
Okay, hi. Hello, Gachi. Hello, ML Lagos community. I'm really happy to be here. I really like this community you have with Nigerians talking about AI, talking about how we can empower our future. And I'm really honored to be part of this session and to talk more about what it means to apply for a PhD and all the challenges that you might face and how to move through and actually secure an admission. So thanks for having me.
Okay, Samuel, you can go ahead and say hi. If you can hear me, you can just go ahead and say hi. Okay, he's not. Okay, so whenever Samuel joins, he's going to go ahead and just introduce himself and just say hi to you guys briefly. So we'll just go straight ahead to asking Joan a few questions. Please, I urge you guys to save your questions in the chat. I think Michael will be in the chat, like just taking note of the questions, but let's save our serious questions in the chat. So, Joan, as someone that has tried applying for a PhD before myself, so I'm going to talk personally first. Would you first of all say that applying for a PhD is more stressful than applying for a master's?
Yes, so I would say so. It is, especially when it comes to having to reach out to a potential research advisor, because so usually for masters, you would end up having to maybe pay your own tuition, or if you're lucky, you would get like a research assistantship or a teaching assistantship. But the main assumption is that you would pay some or all of your tuition. But for a PhD, especially like a PhD in the US, the assumption is that the school or your research advisor would be the one to fund you. And so there's this extra step you have to take, when you're applying for PhDs, to appeal to one or two research advisors who are going to be willing to, take you on and fund you. So I agree, like applying for PhDs is much harder.
Okay, so what was your journey like for you? What was it like? Did you just apply to only one school? How many trials how many seasons did you have to go through to get your admission? Can you walk us through that journey?
Oh, sure. I would say I tried for 2 seasons. The first, I would say I wasn't really that serious for the first, which was in 2020. I think I applied to only one school and I was like super hyper focused. It was a school in Japan, I think Okinawa Institute of Technology, and I I didn't really give it much thought. I think I did GRE. I didn't like my scores then. And then also, I did not have enough communication with the people like I had in mind who would be my research advisors then. So the second time around, which was 2021, I went like all in. I applied to 16 schools. Um, so not I applied for both masters and PhD at the same time. So I would say uh, like I think 5 or so were like masters, and then the rest were like PhDs. And they were like scattered all over the world. So I think there were about 10 in the US, there was one in Canada, there were like 4 or so in the UK. and then one or two like in like Saudi Arabia and MBC UAI, which is in UAE. So it was just like a spread all across for masters and PhD. And this time around, I did a lot of things different. The first thing was starting really early, like around September, July, like going out to Twitter. There are like lots of people, lots of Nigerians who are like already doing their grad studies who share tips. So they're like, oh, if you really want to do this, you have to get out there on social networks where other professors who would be potential advisors and, market yourself. So I think one of the first things was like putting that caption on, I think, my Twitter profile there, and that I'm looking for opportunities in machine learning for masters or PhD. So I had that on my profile, I think Twitter and LinkedIn, and then also like following some of these professors that I felt like were doing similar work to what I wanted to do. And then, so I also saw like a lot of like Nigerians who were sharing tips. They mentioned their schools, that their schools were holding webinars for prospective students. So, some of these webinars, they would say, oh, if you come and attend our webinar, we'll give you a code for tuition, application fee waiver. So that was something that definitely allowed me to apply to many schools because it's expensive. Like, I think for University of Michigan, it's like $90 or so. It's like, so by the time you like calculate everything, like for 16 or 10 schools, that's a lot of money. But I was able to get quite a good number of waivers from these different webinars I heard about. And so yeah, that gave me opportunity to apply to many. And then I would say the next thing was also reaching out actually like through emails to some of these professors who were doing, because I was interested in vision, like computer vision and natural language processing. I wasn't really sure which end I wanted to lean towards, though right now I'm doing more of natural language processing, but with a touch of vision. But I was like searching for professors who did both. And with the cold emailing, it's not easy because sometimes you would reach out to people and they would not respond, and you won't blame them. Some of them, they receive like hundreds, especially like that season that's approaching the admission season. They receive like a lot of emails, and then they're like, I cannot respond to anything. So if you're lucky, just go ahead and like, send an email to them, talk about their work, most especially their recent work, and then say how you're interested. So some of them respond and they're like, fine, just apply, like sort of like waving you away, like, yeah, apply. When you apply, we'll talk. Some of them don't respond. Some of them some of them have like websites, specific instructions. So if you go to their website, they're like, if you're going to email me, do this specific thing to show that you went through my website, and then fill out this form, and then we'll talk. And so for some of those people that I filled out the forms on their website, they reached back out and were like, okay, let's have a chat, that kind of thing. So that's also one thing to look out for. But how I met my advisor was very funny, because I met her on Twitter, and it was not something I really planned to do. It was, I think I commented on something she wrote about, like a machine learning conference, and then she reached back out and was like, hey, I see on your profile that you're looking for ML opportunities. Do you need someone to look through your CV or SOP? And that's how we got started with talking. And it's a very interesting story, but yeah, that's how that happened.
That's so nice. 16 schools, the dedication. That is at least 32 letters of recommendation.
Yes.
Okay, I think someone is on the call now. Hi, Samuel. If you can hear me, you can just say hi.
Can you hear me? I was in church, so I had to step out. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No problem. Are you ready to take a question from me now, or do you just calm down for a bit?
You can go ahead and say questions.
Okay, straight to the point. Okay, so Joan mentioned that she took the GRE when she first started like trying to apply to schools in COVID 2020. I just wanted to know, like, before I ask you about your journey, did you have to take any standardized tests like IELTS, GRE, anything at all, GMAT? Did you have to take any standardized tests?
So my own perspective to grad school application is the standardized tests are good, but like I didn't take anyone. I feel like I'm sorry, but like it's a good test, but like and it's used to sort of like let's say survey or like reduce the number of shortlisted applicants. So if you took the GRE test, you have more chances. So like I remember I got into UCF, but I was not given admission because I did not write GRE, and I'm like, why do you need GRE to hire me? So I think GRE is good and like some of these tests, but I think they are not as important. Like some schools waive them, but because you're an international student, they want to sort of like see proof that yeah, you can speak English. Like if you're going to Canada, for example, they'll ask you for IELTS, but like I think you can actually get some letters from your school. For example, you can get like a English proficiency certificate from your school that yeah, you actually all your classes were taught in English, right? So I think for me, I don't think it's important to start applying, right? Because there are other schools that don't look out for this test and they're not really like true test of like say your potential. So I think anyone there that wants to apply to grad school, you actually don't need the test. You can actually get into grad school without the test. I'm a good example. I had to use. I think I never wrote GRE. I never wrote. I was never planning to because I was like, why do I have to write it? But like, if you want to write it, I think it's good for scholarships, and also I think for me, I think the focus should be how you package your CV because your CV is like the biggest document that every PhD advisor is looking forward to reviewing. So your resume should tell you, it should be on point, it should connect to the research that they're trying to do. So I tell people there is a different type of CV that's for academia, that's for grad school. Like any CV you're using, doing it for job wants is totally different from grad school because you have to showcase your research interest and some of the skills you have. Yeah, that's my own opinion. I don't think Jerry's IELTS are important, but I think some schools make them very compulsory. Like I said, I was meant to get into UCF. I'm currently WPI, but like the professor was like, "Yeah, come in," and like the admissions team, because the school's admission office they require GRE for international students to be given admissions. I think it depends on the school, but that shouldn't be a limiting factor. So if you have any opportunity please apply and apply until maybe you see a requirements, but like there are other schools. So yeah, Jerry is good. IELTS, those exams are very good, but like there aren't like requirements, for all schools. So they always like special let's say opportunities to apply that don't require Jerry's. I tell people don't wait to until you write Jerry once you start applying. You need to start experiencing the game so that you can like sort of learn and get feedback and improve your application.
Thank you,
Yes.
Samuel. You spoke about the CV, but we have a question about CV later, so let's
Okay.
just go. We're coming to
I'm sorry.
that.
I hope it's not noisy because I know the church background sound is sort of.
No,
I
it's
have
not so
okay. I
crazy.
have my noise filter activated. Yeah, I think my
Nice.
headphones is good. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a question about your CV and all of those things. Don't worry, we're coming to the CV, letter of recommendation, and all of those things
All right.
um later on. So Samuel, in just like a few minutes, can you just run us through your journey? When did you start applying? How many seasons or how many cycles did you have to go through? How many schools did you apply to? How did you find your supervisor? Are you fully funded, partially funded? Like just give us a few sentences, just give us the tea on all of that.
So I'll do that quickly. So to be sincere, I recently graduated from my undergrad last year, December. I have a background in mechanical engineering and specialize in robotics and automation. So I have been like sort of targeting like grad school since my final year of my undergrad. So I would say that I think I really put so much energy in applications during my final year, and also I would also like to say that I was sort of mentored by some PhD students that were very close to me already. So I sort of had like the inside sort of like advice on how to go about it. Um, so yeah, I did apply. I don't know if I could count. I did apply to a lot of schools, but my target was the US because like I sort of like want to live the American dream, and I really want to see how to sort of like contribute to innovation in Nigeria and like to build research labs that will sort of support collaboration between the US and Nigeria, right? Um, yeah. So I don't know if I can count. So I actually do have a list of the schools. So I actually targeted like the top schools. And I did apply to schools in the UK. I applied to schools in Canada. I applied to schools in the US, and I did apply to some schools that I sort of did collaborative work with. I did apply to some schools in Singapore, but then I think my target was just the US because like yeah, the US was like my thing, right? So I did. So I know how applications can be very expensive because you need to get like application fees. So I did attend like a lot of like sessions where you get like the fee waiver, just like Joanne said, right? And there are like a lot of like schools that do heavy marketing. So like they actually we go to like Nigeria, like Egypt, South Africa, Ghana, to try to see, like to engage students, right? I did get a lot of like I think before I left Nigeria, I remember I did get like a lot of like schools admissions officer trying to schedule a meeting with me, right, to sort of come to their school, and I think one thing is how you sort of like position your resume and how you use LinkedIn as well, right? Was one of the biggest thing for me, yeah. And yeah, so I did get into George Washington, but it wasn't fully funded. I got into NYU. I had like the best um, offer from NYU. Then I did apply to. So for my year's application, I was sort of like I was calling for the best. I applied to Stanford as well. I knew the Knights NSC scholarship. I did apply to it. Then I applied to WPI was like my backup option. Yeah, so and that's why I'm currently in WPI. And as we speak, I currently have offers in the UK and in Canada, so I'm like sort of like trying to select my next big opportunity, right? Well, currently now my campus is in Canada, so I did get into the University of Manitoba. I'm doing my PhD in mechanical engineering, and I'm focusing on additive manufacturing. And this is fully funded with stipend, and yeah. And for currently, I'm using my master's on a partial scholarship at WPI. I think for me, it's I think a thing of like planning and just strategizing like way before the timing because remember like I remember there was a recent ban like it was due to the travel ban I had to like just go with the because I wanted to get into grad school and like I didn't want to leave research so I was already into research already. So yeah, WPI was like the WPI had like the best robotics program in the state. We were the first to actually start awarding a robotics degree in the whole of the US. And that's why I chose WPI. WPI is very ranked, it's highly ranked in robotics, right? Uh, yeah. So yeah, I did apply to a lot of school. I got into University of Bristol. I also got a PhD offer at the University of Swansea, and that's where my HOD back in my undergrad went to. But for me, I sort of like I'm sorry to say this, but like UK schools are sort of like I'm not gonna call them scams, but like they are not legit because the scholarships don't really make sense because you have to pay they ask you to pay like some deposits of over like £10,000. And even my PhD offer was sort of like conditional, like it was unconditional but without any requirements, but like, I still had to make a deposit. How would you want me to do a research for a school and still want me to make a deposit? Like I was not interested in going to the UK, and the US was always like my biggest motivation. So I think for me, I was very strategic. I started planning in my final year because I didn't want to wait. Right, NYC was there, and during NYC you have to do mobilization. I didn't want any gap. I wanted to just be in the game, right? So like right in my final year, I started getting offers from school, and I started weighing all of them before I applied to come to the US. Yeah. So I think for me, it's all about planning and positioning your documents well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So speaking of documents, and since you spoke about CVs, like when you're applying for grad school, things that really matter, your statement of purpose, your CV. Some schools ask for a motivation letter. Some schools ask you to do a video for them, the recommendation letter. So you mentioned so many schools. I mean, you mentioned at least 10 schools. And Joan said I should apply to 16 schools. And if we count the one from the year before, 17 schools. Let us start off with the one that actually stresses students out the most, which is recommendation letters. how did you get your recommendation letters? If you only have like 2 lecturers, especially if you've been out of school for so long. I mean, Samuel just left school, so you see how these lecturers at his beck and call in quotes. But if you've been out of school for 1 year or 2 years, some lecturers will say that they don't even remember who you are. They don't even know if you took their class, if you took their class, or if you're even a student of their school at all. So how did you get professors, people to recommend you 17 times in Joan's case, and at least 10 times in Samuel's case? I think I would ask Joan first.
It was not easy. So I graduated in 2019, but then I stayed back in Enugu and worked a bit for like 2 years. So I would say I had like, it wasn't just like immediately after school, but I was still like around the vicinity where I could go back to UNN. So that was kind of like what I did. I had a professor who was my project supervisor for undergrad, so I still had him in communication. And then I had like a couple other professors that I always talk to them about like my interest for grad school. So I went back to UNN to sort of like to visit them and, talk to them, sort of like just build a bit of that rapport, which I know is not really, it can be stressful to actually, for example, if you live very far away from where your university is. So yeah, I asked for a lot. I know that I had like 5 recommenders, and I tried to like spread them out where, yeah, like some schools. So for the ones in UK, I think they wanted just 2 recommendation letters. And then for the ones in like the US, I think it was usually 3 or more. And then I also had my boss where I was working write one for me, so write like a couple for me as well. So it was kind of like a bit of a permutation. I had this spreadsheet like, how do we balance the load? Like, let me not disturb this person too much. Which school is asking for, academic references only, and which school is also looking for maybe industry references. So like kind of like balanced it out. But I know like I had to like actually go at some point to encourage like the professors like to actually send it, especially like when it was getting to time and they were not really showing up. I think to also help them, I also made drafts of like some of the things that could help them write the recommendation letter earlier. So like maybe some of the things I've done, things I want them to highlight, my research interest, and especially the interest of the prospective advisor I'm looking at, so that they have something to work with. And something else I would say is giving them enough time, because Everly, they will mostly send it late. But if you have enough time, you will know that, oh, it's remaining 2 weeks. Maybe if I'm close enough, I can visit, or I can have a phone call, parley with them small, and just ginger them to send your recommendation. That's for me.
So my question, sorry,
Sure.
I wanted to add another question for you,
Okay.
since
Okay.
you went in straight from school. I want you to highlight the scale in which you would put the importance of a recommendation letter. So how important do you think the recommendation letter is for your application to grad school?
So I'd say it's like 10 over 10 or even 11 over 10, because if you don't have a strong recommendation letter, your application might not even be reviewed. Like your application might not even get into like the department stage for review, or if you don't have a strong, because a lot of people just, I've seen a lot of people, because I've done some like reviews for like some schools, and like for some people applying. So people literally just use AI, and like that sort of like just knocks off your application, because it means the person that wanted to recommend you was not intentional about it, and like that just messed your application. So I think it's very important. Like never underestimate it. Recommendation means you stand for this person, and if anything happens, you can always reach out to me, because it's like it's like these professors like saying, yeah, I mentored this person, I worked with this person, I can vouch for him anywhere, anytime, So I think it's very important, yeah. So analyze that. For me, my advice to like anyone here is, if you're in your undergrad, or if you're just starting out and trying to like navigate how to apply, I think it's building quality relationships. For me, if you go to my school and you mention my name, like there's no way you mention my name and they wouldn't know me. Like my department, I've definitely left a mark there. So like it's like if I ask for a recommendation letter, these professors, they will be more than happy, because I really really contributed so much to them. So I think it's value. I think value is undeniable. If you provide value for people, no matter where you are, you it wouldn't take them time. They would be more than happy. I know, like I know schools are different. I know in public schools, like they own. Because I went to private school, I know the own navigation. You have to like appeal the girls and all of that. It's different,
So
right?
I
But I
feel
think
the gods.
because I have some friends, I'm like, how do you go about it? So I tell people it's always best to build quality relationships. Don't just do a project and just do it and just finish it. Be intentional. No, like communicate with professors. Try and build relationship. Let them know that yes, as I'm doing this in the nearest future, I would love you to recommend me. And I think I think it's just your kind of like I think it's your attitude to work and looking at the future, right? Whatever you are, like, what do I need to do that I might not be able to get if I move on in life, right? For example, because if I think if I didn't sort of like plan towards all these things, I don't think I would have gotten these recommendation letters, right? And another thing I would like to contribute to that it's important to also like use like some of like drafts and systems that work with them because some of them are very busy, right? And you don't want to be disturbing them, like, please, because they're like, are you paying me? I've had some of my friends say that they had to pay for recognition. I'm like, no, you don't need to do that because, it depends on what kind of relationship you have with these guys. Because I remember like my my first HOD, he's retired now. He's very, very impactful. He had international experience. He did masters in I think in Canada and he did his PhD in the UK. So he has written like over like I can't even count, maybe over like 50 recommendation letters for me now. And he wrote his recommendation letter to the school he graduated from. So it made more sense for me to get into the school. So I think it's just how you navigate things because a lot of people see your professors are gods. I think there are always ways to like get to them because if you find a way to sort of help them, maybe reduce the work on their table, they'll be like, yeah, this person is my person. I have to help them. They have to stand. They'll be willing to do everything for you. I think it's basically just relationship and just building quality relationships with them and knowing how to help them and knowing that in the nearest future they'll be willing to help you. And I think another final thing is in in Nigeria, I know before I left Nigeria, I know NUC has sort of mandated that every professor should sort of like publish papers. So like most of these professors that you're seeing, they are looking forward to publishing papers. So it's an opportunity for you to be part of their process because they need those papers published for their promotion. See if you can get them their promotion. There's no way they will not recommend you. So I think it's another secret, right? For those of you that have not graduated, as you are there, as you're in school, try to look for opportunities in a way to find opportunities to contribute to their sort of their research already. I know research in Nigeria is very, very tough, right? But like just look for opportunities to help professors so that in the nearest future you might need them for recommendation letters. And another thing is internships are also another avenue as well because when you work, you also want to build relationship with your employees so that when you leave them, in the nearest future you can always reach out to them and ask them for recommendation letters. So I think the secret is just quality relationships. Well, if you're able to unlock, no matter how tough a person is, there's always going to be a way to sort of connect with them. And yeah, and if you provide value for them in the near future, they'll be willing to provide value for you.
Thank you, Sama. One thing Sama would do is give us examples of his of his people so that you know that he's not just capping, he's giving us
Yeah.
the real tea. I really like what John said about like your boss, your previous bosses, because as Samuel said, for the Nigerian government schools situation, you have to either appease the gods, especially if you left years ago. They will tell you, we don't remember you, we don't know you in the department. We don't know you in the department, oh, do we know you? But yeah, like, so this just shows the importance of relationship. And someone said that it's a 10 over 10. That's how important recommendation letters are. Because some people would ask you to get academic recommender, professional recommender, someone that was your boss previously, and someone as a professor previously. So it's very important. So I want to ask both of you now this question. Yes, recommendation letters are very important here. But was there any part of your application that you underestimated that was actually also very important? Samuel, over to you.
Okay. So I think one area I would say it's a lot like I underestimated, but because of the whole feeling to just rush and submit application. I think one important document is your research statement for some schools that require, right? If you write a very compelling research statement, trust me, you're going to get like the offer, right? I think another thing is the use of AI. So like AI is good, but I think one that's the document I would like to like stress about. writing a good research statement is very important because you're not just grad school is not just coming, you just want to like you're not looking for scholarship. No, they're not just giving you scholarship to come and study. They're coming to work. Actually, you're actually working. You're not a student, you're actually working. You're doing research, it's actually work. So that document is like it's basically showcases your skills and like it showcases your let's say your experiences in just in simple terms. If you're able to break down complex like research in simple terms, I think it's one document I think I sort of underestimated, and I think it's very important. Then yeah, I think that's it for me. Then maybe resumes as well because a lot of people just use the same resume for all because we're all rushing. You want to apply to like 50 schools, you want to apply to like
16
10 schools,
schools.
16 schools, right? So you don't take time to review like little things like research interest, some like sections. Because I tell you, like a CV, you don't like your CV should be like very specific to the kind of research you're trying to like research approach you're trying to apply to. So I think it's also very, very important how you format it, the kind of things you showcase, the kind of skills you highlight, the projects you showcase, how you organize it is very complex. Just I think the secret is basically just put yourself. Imagine you are the professor that wants to hire a student, and you're like, okay, this person, and if I'm to recruit these students, and like just trying to like imagine yourself as a professor, and if they go through my document, would they be interested in me? Those are the ways to sort of go about it. Yeah.
Thank you, John. Just briefly, because we have so many other questions to go to.
Yeah, I would second what someone said. Like the CV recommendation letters and the research statement, they are very important. So for the CV, one thing I would advise is don't feel like you only have to put like a certain amount of things. Like if you've taught before, put that in. It helps to have like a teaching experience. If you've done like an invited talk somewhere, put in like your GitHub, like if you've done some coding and you know that you're going in to like a computer science related course, put that in as well. And then so for the research statement, this is where you get to expand on all the things that you said in your CV. So in the CV it's like bullet points or something short like that, but then in your research statement expand on those stories, like what is the problem, how did you solve it, what did you learn, and what were the challenges you faced. So kind of use that framework to like showcase some of these things you mentioned in your CV because it's very important. And then the recommendation of this, we've covered that it really holds a lot of weight. I've heard like, because I've been like part of the admissions committee in my school for a bit, and we see where like a good recommendation letter where they say, oh, he was my student and he got the A is like not really, doesn't make, or it
Doesn't
doesn't
hold
carry
it.
much weight. But they are looking for recommendation letters that are like, hey, when I worked with this student, he went above and beyond. She did this, she did this, she was very, curious, and that and that. Those are the kind of recommendation letters they're looking for. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
So okay, Sam, I want to add
Yeah, I
something.
wanted to add something,
Okay.
right? So if you're trying to like target, for example, I'm in robotics, right? So I think if you have a particular interest, it's also very important to start building skills. For example, if you want to like work on a particular project with a particular research advisor or this particular research you're interested in, I think one thing to do is also to like I like to like show. I'll call it sort of like in, for example, if you use GitHub, you can sort of like fork some of the repository they've sort of published. So like I don't know, I hope you guys understand what it means to fork a repo, like just to show like yeah, you
Yes.
want to contribute, right? Exactly. So those are ways to sort of like show that yeah, this person actually it checks my repository and like yeah. And you sort of like now put that in your research statement, it makes sense, right? Another thing is you don't necessarily have to even publish so much. You can actually even write blog posts just to show evidence that yes, you're really interested. So like every professor just wants to hire students that are actually interested. They're not looking for someone to just give scholarship money. So I think ways to just show evidence, basically just evidence, an evidence game. Like, yes, I know these skills. Where's the evidence? Put it in the research statements. And in the research statement, you want to show evidence as well, right? So like just trying to like find ways to just show like really, really impressions that you're interested. Show workings, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to add to that. But just show evidence, basically. Yeah.
Thank you for the addition. So if you've not learned anything on this call for the past 45 minutes, learn that your CV is bullet points. your research statement is where you can expatiate, and then your recommendation letter is like backup from someone that is senior to you. So yeah, to show that you're not lying. You didn't make this up. Okay. So you spoke about showing evidence and not needing so many publications, but as a Nigerian in Nigeria trying to apply for things, you'll be seeing the series of all these Chinese guys that have 8 publications. They're prime minister of their country when they were in GS1. They had started coding in their mother's womb. They have such a stellar, you like, and then you ask yourself, if I put my CV up against this academic weapon of mass destruction, even stand a chance, can I make it? Will I hire myself? If I put my CV against this prime minister at 10 CV. So that leads to a lot of us underestimating our abilities. Was there ever a point where you guys underestimated yourself when you were applying? Because if I can speak personally, there are so many points of or more. I won't even hire me if I see this kind of out of my office, get out of my door. So was there ever a point where you underestimated yourself? That's my first question for Joan. And Samuel, your question is, since you did a master's first, how important would you say were publications? Because these Chinese guys, these Indians would have 10 publications after SS3, and it's at NeurIPS, ICML, ICLR. They go for the top conferences. So how important would you say publications were for you? And yeah, John, you can go first.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely had like multiple moments where I was like, oh my God, like I've not done any research work beforehand. I don't have a research paper. I think at some point I was like, oh my God, should I use this limited time and like just cook something up to like post, or like I swear. But I talked to a couple of people, like also my advisor then. I think this was then she was just someone who was like, helping me look through my CV and everything. I was asking her like, what is her position on this? I think a lot of professors they want to look for evidence. So some of them are people who in their mind are like, I must see like a research work first, but they are not the majority. They are like other people who they feel like, it doesn't really matter if you have had a paper before, because being a first author, like author is different from like, for example, being like one out of like 50 others. So, and so all of them show that you have contributed in some way, but then still there are different weights to it. And so what you can do without any research paper is just to show like, what are your attempts towards research? What have you done on your own? Have you read papers? Mention it. So in my SOP I mentioned, I read this so paper and I found it interesting that they thought of things this way. One of the thoughts I had was like, what if they tried this other method? So sort of like show, like do a little bit of a literature review on maybe the area that you feel like you and your prospective advisors would share, and show that you have some kind of understanding of the field. And that really hints towards, this person has research potential. So just think, how can I show I have research potential? So it doesn't always have to be, solid like research paper evidence immediately.
All right. So just to add to, I really agree with what everything Joanne said. So I just wanted to add, so two of my friends, actually one is a senior, she's in the University of Cambridge. So she didn't publish anything and she got a scholarship. So like I'm just trying to put like this example so that you know that you don't actually need to have like research papers because but they are important, but like because some professors don't really look like see it as important because they want to mentor you and like show you how to sort of like write publication papers and all of that. So I think another thing I want to say is that one thing you should do is I think learn to write. How do you showcase your writing skills? You can actually showcase it. The Substack, there's I think there's LinkedIn articles. Right, there are places where you don't necessarily need to wait for publication. You can actually just publish. You can write a paper and you can put your final year project as an example, right? Put it on ResearchGate. There are places where you can actually just publish for free, right? And I remember like she's in the University of Cambridge and she did a spotlight on me on Substack and it's on my profile, right? And it's actually for one of the sort of like what she does in machine learning. And I think that was one of the reasons she told me like this article really was trending and like my professor saw it and he liked it. So I think it's how you can use the resources you have at your hand, and also I know that in during undergraduate, there's some projects you do. I advise people don't just throw some of these reports you do in class under the table. You find something, try and write, apply to conferences. You might actually get with like discounts and all of that. So even before I joined this course this morning, I woke up writing papers. So I have like two Springer papers. So I think publication matters to be sincere, right? Because you're trying to compete against so many people, right? So it's very important. So I think one thing you should do is try to collaborate with your professor. Like I said, the spirit is you actually have these opportunities if you're still in school. Some of these professors, they are lazy. I'm sorry. That's the honest truth. They're actually lazy. They're looking for somebody that will do the hard work. And because I'm in the STEM area, I know some conferences where they give discounts to like developing countries, so you don't have to pay to actually get your work published. So if you're there and trying to get your papers published, or trying to get some of the projects you've done in the past, you build a cool existing app, you can actually just write a README, a good documentation, and publish it online. So these things would actually attract them. And this person knows how to write documentation. This person knows how to write like a paper. And also understanding how a paper is abstract, like these basic things. These are things they want to see that, yeah, this person have understanding about writing, does he know how to write a paper, and like just basically just evidence, like how can you showcase this your skills that yes you can write, you understand English. That's what they just want to see, and just find proof for that. So look for I advise people publish if you want to get the best scholarships. The best scholarships are requires actually publication because these conferences, for example, the Scopus Index, like papers, there's some papers where you can actually just publish for free. Yeah, they're actually there. And I know some organizations, I think, um, I don't know if it's good code. I'll send it to Agnes. She have shares the community, but like there's some actually some communities where you can actually project some of your work. I know there's Black in AI where you can actually just publish some of your work for free, like yeah, just showcase it in the community, like just to show that yeah, you're actually trying to like push your work out there. Then try another thing is on GitHub, there's something called Star. Send it to your friends, let them start your repo. These are some things that professors look out for, and they're like, yeah, I would love to hire the students. So the paper thing is important to be sincere. It's like in academia, it's like a metric to sort of like to rank professors. Like if you have 20 each index, it means yeah you can be promoted to the rank of professor, right? So it's very important. So if you have opportunity to publish, I advise you please publish, like write and publish. But don't let this discourage you from applying, right? Because you might feel like yeah, these people they have like a bigger shots, right? But like I think it's important. If you have the opportunity to do it, please do it. Look for the opportunity, and I'm sure you'll find it because the people in your school, these professors, right? They want to publish papers, right? So and also look for conferences where you can publish for free. There are journals where you can publish for free. They might not be very very powerful, but like at least it shows that yes, you are willing to put out your work there. Yeah.
Sorry, just to
Yeah,
add,
June, can I add something?
yeah, I think, yeah, if you cannot publish on your own, one thing I would advise is finding collaborators. So, like you mentioned, there's Black in AI, there's Masakane. They have, like, if you go to, I could share the link. If you go, they have a Slack, you can join. And like every other day, there's someone saying, hey, I'm a PhD student, I'm working on this project. We need people who are, Africans to help us, contribute to this data set, help us analyze this thing from this African language or the other, and you can work with them and have your name on the paper, and you can speak to it more in your research statement as being part of a research project. So definitely look for like opportunities for collaboration.
I just wanted to add. So I'm actually looking for students that was if you want to publish paper, reach out to me. I'm interested in computer vision, robotics, and sort of like machine learning and agentic AI. Reach out to me. So I have over if you know me personally, I'm really interested in research. So last year I recruited like 3 students um to work on a project which will be launched in 2 weeks' time. We're launching the State of Robotics in Africa report. So I have a lot of opportunities actually. You can reach out to me. Yeah, I'll be willing to to assist here.
Samuel has given us the full cake, not even a piece of the cake now. So yeah, look, if you are interested in computer vision, robotics, he's the guy you should go to. You guys have spoken a lot about SOM research statements, but we'll come to that. You also mentioned something about like your advisor. at the beginning, Joan, where you said that you just found her on Twitter. I think you just posted about like going for a conference and the likes. And now I want to ask you about like advisors. I applied for a PhD once, and the only reason why I was rejected was because of like the whole Donald Trump funding cuts. So I was rejected like I think May last year. So I had scaled through to the point of we could have accepted you, but we don't have money for you. And then I had reached out to the supervisor. She's like, okay, I don't mind taking you, but there's no money. And then I come back late last year, and I'm speaking to one of my friends in the school. And this friend is like, oh, you applied to my school. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, okay. Who did you want to be under? And I mentioned the professors, and she's like, thank God you did not get in. And I said, like that. She's like, go and rate my professor on this professor. I was under her once, and I had to request for a change of professor. So what would you say is a red flag to look out for when trying to send a cold email, when trying to reach out to XYZ professor? What is the red flag? Because me, I'm like, any admission you give me, I'm happy to take. PhD, MSc, fully funded, count me in. And someone telling you, thank God you did not get in.
Right. Honestly, it is very important. I think like people say like what makes or breaks your PhD is your PhD advisor. They're like the ones that will direct your position, they will direct like where you would publish, how frequently. They would be the ones to guide you. If they don't guide you well enough, it's like you're doing your PhD on your own. I've seen some professors who might cage you in some area where they feel like, oh, this is the only worthwhile area in computer science. And so even though you are slightly interested in exploring other things, they're like, you know what, if you want to do that, go find someone else to advise you. So yeah, there are stories, people are different. So one thing I would say is it's not easy. Like you might not be able to tell through like maybe a cold email interaction, but one thing I would say is reach out to their students. Their students who are under those professors, they're the ones who know, they're the ones who've like worked with this professor. So if you've reached the extent where they're already interested and you're speaking with them, sometimes they will speak to you and their behavior is not clear yet. So like you can be like, hey, can I talk to one of your students? So sometimes they may be like, oh yes, here is this person, I'll introduce you to these other people. That's a good sign. If they're like, no, that's not a good sign. Well, irrespective of whether they connect you or not, you can always reach out to the students directly. They have them on their page. And then, ask for like a chat, like a 20-minute chat, or even like maybe ask your questions through email. They would explain the working style, if they are very strict, if they're like the professor that would like push you to the highest heavens and expect you to finish a project in 2 months without like any guidance or not. So, listen to them and try to talk to more than one student at once. I've also seen where, for reasons I am not sure of yet, like one professor would have specifically one kind of issue with one student and they are okay with everyone else in the lab. And so sometimes if you end up talking to that student, it's like you don't really get the clear picture. Maybe there was something else that happened between them. But if you talk to at least two, you can kind of get like a clearer view of how it is. And then apart from professor, I would say also the program. Like maybe if you ask questions to like their grad program manager, how do they respond to you? Do they respond like people who want you to come in, or you're just like any other student, like, oh, we've given you admission, figure yourself out? Or are they like responsive? Because these are the people who you would reach out to when you have issues with like timelines, maybe doing your candidacy, any exams. They're the ones who would fix you up with the department. And so having a community that's like supportive, and also knowing that the students, like maybe if they have like a like maybe Nigerian students community, or maybe African students community, or like a group of people within the department, or let's say the school, if it's School of Engineering, that you can also talk to if you run into issues. Those are very important.
Thank you very much. Samuel, do you want to add something, or should I ask my next question?
I'll just add something very short. So for me, I'll just call it strategic networking. So to be sincere, the whole thing of reaching out to advisors, I think the best way, I'll be honest with you, is to actually reaching out to the PhD students and like try to like find a way to get them. You can see them on LinkedIn actually and try to like offer help or just check on them and like how's your research, I'm interested in this, and from there you can share a conversation, just to ask how's your supervisor and all. Some of them might not be honest with you, but like I would say reach out to a couple of them more. But if you're already engaged in maybe a professor that's willing to like offer you maybe scholarship or funding, he would definitely want you to engage with his interact with his students. He will tell you, yeah, we can feel free to reach out to my student. So and I think one of the green red flags to sort of like to sports is when you see a particular PhD, when you see a particular professor that's always hiring a particular type of students, you can already say that this person is, I don't want to use any word that is offensive. I know we're all Nigerians here, but like, yeah, that's some professors, you see their lab, you
What
see
you mean
their, you
yourself?
just see Chinese, you want to come in there, you want to come and take over, eh? So it can be very, very, very,
Yes.
very, very tough. So I think one of the best tips is here. If I think my honest advice for anyone here that's sort of trying to like navigate grad school is to look for Nigerian students that are excelling in whatever lab or whatever institution they're in, and just reach out to them and just be hopeful they respond to you, and they'll sort of be the best to guide you, because before they even settle, they got other opportunities and they can be great referrals to you, right? So I remember I remember one of those professors I wanted to like sort of work with. He told me to reach out to the student, and I found out that one of the students was doing a part-time PhD. Like, why? I said that lab is so ethic for me. Like, he preferred to stay, and be working and be doing a part-time. So it's all about just understanding you can actually see when you see you can actually see unity, you can see diversity, you can tell all these things, you can see them online. You see social, some all these professors, they have Twitter, they have Instagram, you can sort of like just study them, behind the scenes. Try and study their values. You can already know, oh, this person values empathy, they value communication. You can already know someone that will be strict, because I know one of my friends working with a professor that does not smile, does not know how to smile. I want to work with them, but it just depends on your personality as well. If you're the kind of person that you cannot work without building relations. Some people in America, America is very very I'm gonna say it's a cold place, but like when it's time to work, it's time to work. When it's time to play, it's time to play. So the way people are sort of like very social and very friendly in Nigeria might be different. You might experience something different. But what I'm just trying to say is it's you need to sort of like study the environment. Don't just look for opportunities and you end up finding opportunities. You end up doing PhD for 10 years. So, another thing is to look for a professor that's willing to graduate you. So one of the reasons why I tell people to have their proposal, even before you start your PhD, have your proposal, have your thesis. Look for a professor that is willing to guide you on your thesis before you even start your PhD. Those are green flags. Any professor that say, yeah, I would graduate you in so time, in 3 years, those kind of professors are good. Not like the ones that they just want to come and occupy space and they'll just be easy and easy and easy. So it's all about the relationship. And also, I think I'm a Christian. Prayer is also very important, right? I kind of overemphasize it. Pray, God will lead you, God will direct you, and so that you don't fall into some trap that you're going to have avoided, right? So yeah, pray and God will direct, and also pray that God leads you to the right place. Yeah, prayer is important too in this game.
Thank you, Samuel. Samuel, we know
Yeah.
you're a Christian. I mean, you were just at church like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
20 minutes ago. But yeah, like you told us about the green flags, the red flags. We've spoken about letters of recommendation. But now, one thing we've not spoken about yet is your statement of purpose. I mean, this is the one where we know that everybody almost always hangs. Once they require me to write a long essay that is more than 200 words, my brain will first ChatGPT, hello, I want to think like an Ivy League student applying to Stanford. I turned to a prompt engineer immediately. So I want both of you guys to speak briefly because we're going to be done in the next 25 minutes and we have to take questions. Can you guys speak briefly to how you wrote your statement of purpose that got you your admission? I know you wrote for like multiple schools, but for this one that you got that you're currently in, how did you write it? And if you can highlight in just a few words the difference between your statement of purpose and your research statement, because a bunch of us here think that they are the same thing. where like towards the end of the thing, you can be like, oh, yeah, and I also do research. Yeah, I even do research in my undergraduate. I just quickly just throw that one in there at the bottom and say, yeah, that's my research statement too. So many people think they're the same thing, but most of us know that they're not the same thing. But can you guys speak to the difference and how you wrote yours in just a few sentences, please, so that we can take questions? Yeah. Samuel, Olawale Samuel, please don't put your hand up. Clear time for questions. When the time comes, we'll take questions. By 8:50, 8:15 is in like 9 minutes time. It's 8:50 where I am. That's why we'll take questions. Please, I think unless Joan go first, then Samuel will go next.
So for me, my school, they had me write two. So the first one was actually the statement of purpose, and some schools they would actually describe what they expect from you. So for me, the statement of purpose was where they wanted to hear about, why I wanted to do a PhD, what's motivating me, what experience, I had before that makes me qualified to apply for a PhD, and then also like what my research, interests. So it was kind of like a mix of like the research statement and statement of purpose. But then the second essay was the personal statement. So this was where they were looking into, my background. They're like, tell us about your background and what challenges or things you've gone through growing up that made you who you are today and also made you want to study this specific field. So those were the two essays. For the statement of purpose, I had that first paragraph, of course, talking about why I got into the field of, AI and what I did before, my qualifications, like how I went to undergrad, how I got first interested, and, also mentioning some of the things that were in my CV that were like relevant, like the courses I took that kind of built me up. And then I think I also mentioned some of the work I've done to show research potential. So this was like some of the papers I've read, some of the ideas I was hoping to research on. And then I think I moved on to like mentioning some of the people, like this school, talking more about the school and why I felt like that was like the best place for me to study. And here was like a way to show them that I've really done my research on them. So for my school, so there are different schools run in different ways. So there are schools that say you will come in for your first year, you do a rotation, you will meet different advisors, and after your first year, you pick one who would be the one to, sponsor you. But for my school and for many other schools, you would come in with a research advisor. Like you can't come in without someone pledging themselves to you saying, I'm taking this student. And so that's why, like in my statement of purpose, I mentioned like 3 professors that I was interested in. So you will list them, like order of preference, list why, like, oh, I like this person's work. Their most recent paper on this talked about this and that, which is, very similar to what I, played around with, and I'm looking forward to moving things in this direction. So just, connect yourself to them. And when I was in the admissions committee, I found out how really valuable this is, because for us, when they're reading applications, there's a general, oh, did you pass the general bar of like, is your CGPA okay? Is your, do you have all the things we want from, is your application complete? Then the next thing is for them to send applications to faculty to read through to see if they want to take you. So if they don't know, if you don't appeal or if you don't mention these faculty, you won't be able to have your application go anywhere. They'll be like, who are we going to send it to? You didn't mention anybody's name, or maybe the person you mentioned is not even in the department, or, that kind of thing. So I learned that it's very important that you mention those people and really like motivate why you're choosing them. So then for the personal statement, that was where I, talk about my background as an Igbo girl in Nigeria, challenges, in terms of financial, in terms of, growing up and doing engineering, those sort of things. So I also found out later in the admissions committee that some of these things, like the challenges you've had, when you mention them well enough, you're giving them good information to give you a scholarship with. So there are some scholarships that they wouldn't ask you to apply for, or fellowships, for example. So in your first year, you could either teach, you be a teaching assistant, or you be a research assistant, or you would be on a fellowship, meaning nobody is going to force you to research on one direction, or nobody is going to force you to teach in your first year. So I got the fellowship, and how this happened is they have this needs based, so it's like they want to look at someone who has gone through certain kinds of challenges and they feel like they have, overcome those challenges and reached to how they are, but they would not be able to select you if you don't write about these things. So if you have an opportunity where they say, tell us about your background, what challenges have you faced, please write it. Write it, because I've seen where we're trying to like find students who fit the bill, but they're like, we need to pick something from the application that speaks to their story and they can't find it. So that's it for me.
Yeah, so I think Joanna said everything, but I'll just add, just to sort of say something very important. So I know Agnes said that she uses AI to like help, right? So I think one thing you should note is that during this whole grad school process, have two friends, have AI and have like your personal accountability partner, someone that can be there to review your documents together with you, check for errors, check that you really, really nailed the point. So I think SOP and research statements are different. So every school will definitely give you structure. Let me see, admissions office, they try to make the process easy. They even ask for feedback. How was your experience in applying to our school? Right. So I think one thing I can tell you to do is to go on YouTube, to be sincere, because we might not really, really explain all the things. People, they are really, really great experts. They have applied to Oxford. They will tell you how their process was. They will even give you templates. So do your own personal research. Don't rush. I tell people one of the biggest mistakes I see people doing is they rush to submit application. Before you submit any application, go and check online what's the best way. You know, even ask that AI that I use it. If this professor sees my work, will he hire me? I
The
have
answer
this
is usually
conversation.
no.
Yeah. You might get it, yes, right? So, but one thing I would say is don't use one of the issues yeah, right, is we see BB grammars, right? So, and I'm sorry, but like we can, if I see something generated by AI, I can easily flag it because we all use AI, right? You see overall, not only these are also ways to catch people, right? Overall, not only these are terms that professors see and like, oh, this person is using AI and it's not good, right? So I think one thing is to just sort of like be very, very um clear. Clarity is the best form of writing. If you can write in clear terms, if you can explain something to a very small person and the person can understand it, then your document is good. So I think one thing is to sort of highlight all the things you need to sort of document, prepare for it, take your time, and ask people to review it. So I think for research interest, it basically focuses on your research. Then for your SOP is basically like your purpose, your purpose for applying to the school. So it sort of like gives a summary of your life, your long-term plan, your short-term plan, what you intend to do with the research, and if even you know your research interest, the professors you're interested in writing. Yeah, so I actually saw someone just reach out to me that they're interested in publications and sent me a LinkedIn. I just dropped my email, so please, if you want to reach out to me, my personal email is very accessible. Just send me an email and I'll engage you. Thank you. Um, I think you're muted. Sorry.
Oh, I'm so
Okay.
sorry. Okay, so I was saying that thank you so much for all the answers you've given us so far for the past 1 hour, 15 minutes. But I want us to use the last 15 minutes to go over questions in the chat. And if you have questions, I know some people's hands are already going up. So if you want to actually like speak on the call, that would be very, you should calm down. I just arrived. Okay, so I think we'll just answer a few questions here and there. And I really appreciate if the answers from you guys very direct so that we can get through as many questions as possible. And if you're asking a question, you don't need to greet the entire audience. Just go, hi, my question is time is of the essence. Okay. So the question here first is from Ali Olaride, where I guess it's a guy where he said you applied to 16 schools. Were you only given admission at the school you're currently in or multiple admissions? If yes, why did you choose your current university?
So I applied and I got multiple offers. So I got offers from masters, but most of those ones, they were not full
Money.
scholarship, somewhere half. I actually got one that was a full offer. That was Queen Mary University of London, and then I got the DeepMind scholarship for that. But by the time they got back to me, I was already at UMich, so that was a different thing. Then I got one other PhD offer, and for that one, I noticed that they wanted me to teach in my first year, but for UMH, they told me I was coming in with a fellowship, which means I didn't need to teach. And I learned that, you need enough time to balance in your first year. And I really appreciated that. And I like my advisor. I think my advisor showed he was a better fit. So.
Okay, that's very nice. Straight to the point. I love it. The next question is Dominion Joshua, where he said a lot of scholarships go to researchers, so people have targeted cost-based masters. So if your goals were more cost-based focus, how do you start building with some capacity for research? Joan, you can answer. I know some questions for Samuel will be down the line.
Yeah. So if you've targeted course-based masters, usually they don't really care about, research. They just want to know are you an A student, and all of those things. So one thing is maybe if you get the admission and you're there, you can begin to mingle with some of the professors, take research-based courses, and see if, doing a PhD after that is something you want to do, because then you will be amongst other people who are doing research. But I would say some of the advice that we've already given, reading papers and, looking for some of these communities like Masakane and Black in AI to see if you can collaborate with people on the side is a good way to start.
Thank you so much, Joan. So the next question is for Sam. How important are publications for applying for masters?
Okay, so I think masters is a mobile game. So even if you're not even going to be giving scholarships, some schools once they reach the maximum number of people they're meant to recruit, they probably won't give you an offer. I have a personal friend, great CV, great SOP. He wasn't given offer for admission. I'm like, why would you reject you? I'm like, I want to apply to this crowd. I'll speak to the admission. So why would you reject this person? So I think research is really important. I tell people, if you really want the best scholarships, I think just as Joanne said, look for collaboration opportunities, right? And if you're really to, I think another thing is if you have the bar, you can get a master's degree, right? You can actually just invest in it as well if you have the money, right? And another thing is I think there are some companies, right, that actually sponsor you during your masters, right? So there's another opportunity, to look out for. If you're not really interested in research, you can be working for. I think I need Social Energy do this, and some other companies. I'm not sure. I think Nigerian LNG. Some companies they actually just sponsor their employees to sort of improve their career. So these are opportunities. You don't really have to do research. You can also get into a good company that has sort of like a partnership with the university, and from there you get a scholarship to do your masters. Yeah. But research is important if you're looking forward to the big scholarship and you want to work. So yeah, research is. I would say it's very important. Build the skills because even in grad school you are expected to do it because some masters are thesis based. So these are skills that are important. Even if you're not interested, you still need it to graduate. So I think it's important to build skills. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sam. Sam said get into a good company. Sam, I think it's easier to get a PhD than to get into NMC.
True, very true.
Get
So,
into a PhD program to get into NLNG.
so there's
I know more
focus on
PhD
research
students
there.
than NLNG.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. I don't know if anybody's hand is up because I can't really see it, but I think we'll take one more question from Ibukun, where she said, how specific is your research interest? Yeah, meant to be in your, so how deep can you dive into your research in your research team? I think Joan would speak to that.
Okay, for that, it's you need to write a balance because it's good to show you're specific, to show that you've actually done the work and you know that field well. But I would also advise you not to box yourself in too much. So how to know where you should be depends on the school. So look into the school. If you've seen in the list of faculty that there are 5 faculty doing or more faculty doing that area, then I think you can afford to go in, be specific, especially if those specific places, your areas you're mentioning, have, up to 2 or 3 people who are doing that kind of thing, then go for it and mention those people. But if it's, the case that it's only 2 people doing like that general area, mention that, oh, you're interested in this area, especially the sub area, but then you're also open to this other, parts of your research. So, it's important to not to box yourself in, because I've seen cases where maybe they really like this student, but unfortunately the professor who would have taken you is on sabbatical, and then, there's no one else who's doing that area. So, wait in with the kind of school you're looking at.
That's a very good advice that I'm going to take, because when I was applying, I kept on writing about, oh, this NLP topic is particular to my interests for low resource language. That I'm writing to a Chinese person. Like, I don't care about low resource. I don't care about your language. Hello. So yeah, that's very. I think Abdullahi has a question. Abdullahi Bello, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Great. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Hello,
hear you.
good evening.
hear you.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So thank you very much for the session, Abdullahi. So my question goes this way. In the process of applying to the universities, how were you able to keep good track of them so that you didn't miss applications? How were you able to keep track of those applications? Then also for an undergraduate student, presently I'm in my 4th year, and I'm in electrical engineering. I have interest in embedded systems and robotics and other stuff. So how can I actually prepare myself in advance for graduate schools in terms of not just publications in this case and the skills, but the documents like IELTS exams, GRE? How important are those exams? Will they give me an edge if I have them right now? And yeah, basically, and transcripts too and the rest. How well do I need those? Thank you.
Thank you. John would answer the first question about keeping track, since she applied to a lot of schools. Sam will answer the question about, we already spoke about the importance of these exams at the beginning of the call, so you can go back and watch the recording. But we'll speak on the fact of being robotics, trying to build your interest and build your portfolio since you are still in undergrad. And Sam obviously spoke in depth on that, but he can just say a few words after that. So John will go first, and then Sam would answer the next question.
Okay. For keeping track, I would say your good old spreadsheets like Excel or Google Sheets would help you. So you could list out the schools you're interested in, and for each school you can list out the requirements. So what documents do you need to have? So do you need your transcripts? Some schools want you to not just send your transcript, but to maybe convert it by some scaling system, or to send it to, I think there's this WES that you may have to pay for them to convert it from the 5-point scale to 4-point scale. So figure out which schools want that, and then also the recommendations, if they want 2 or 3 recommendation, and whether they want academic or not. So let each school have their bunch of recommendation letters, and then I think from there you can also filter out, do I only want to focus on the schools that, for example, the ones that don't want IELTS. So in your list of requirements, you can differentiate between the ones that want some of these exams and the ones that do not need them, and you can decide if you want to focus on those that don't need the exam, or focus on the ones that do need the exam. So I just using a spreadsheet to list out the requirements, list out the deadlines, list out which recommenders are going to recommend you for which schools would help you to keep track.
Thank you so much, John. Sam, if you're still on the call, you can go ahead and answer the next question that he asked. The second question he asked. I don't know if Sam is still on the call. Okay, if he's not, John, maybe you can say 1 or 2 things.
I'm on the call.
Oh, okay. Are you still on the call? Okay.
Sorry. Good evening. So I will just go straight to my question.
No,
I sincerely
Sam.
appreciate it.
Sam.
Not me. Oh,
Yes,
not me.
yes, to
Oh,
answer the
no,
question.
no.
Oh my gosh. You want to answer the question or you want to ask a question?
Okay,
You ask
okay.
the
All
question
right. Thank
about
you.
you would get if you have a question, we can have it after this answer. Samuel Oyefusi, our speaker, if you're on the call. If you're on the call, maybe you can answer the question where Abdullah asked about building your portfolio, your profile. Now he's currently a fourth year studying electrical engineering. He wants to apply for embedded systems and robotics. If Sam isn't currently here, maybe Joan can speak to that.
Yeah. So I would say some of the general advice, of course, applies. Another thing would be trying to attend some like maybe virtual workshops or virtual conferences that you can afford to attend, like if they are free, or if they have like some sessions. I think on LinkedIn, some companies that specialize on some of these things have like I don't know, like workday highlights where they talk about some of their new things that they've come up with that they want to share with the public. So attend some of these things so that you know some of the newest technologies, some of the newest areas, read papers as well. So just signal that you are in the know of these different ideas in the field, especially about the things you want to, research about. And please also read at least the most recent papers, like top 2 or 3 recent papers from those professors. Just skim through or read through them so that you can speak to them or speak to the work they've done. And I think that would be helpful.
Thank you. Okay, let's quickly. This is going to be like rapid fire. We have like 1 more minute. With the current visa situation in the US, is this a good idea to apply for graduate school there? Will visa policies affect my chances of admissions?
Yeah, I honestly like things are still a mess over here. So I would say like things could change. So what I would say is like if you have like an array of schools, maybe put in like fewer US schools and then put more in maybe Canada or UK or other places for now until things like really change. Because like even for like I think OPT, like there was a judge who sort of like push things back. I said, okay, they should start looking at OPT and giving more leeway to people from Nigeria and other countries that were partially banned. But, it's still subject to like being appealed. So it's still like a back and forth and it's not really the best time right now. But I would still not discourage you. We can put in 1 or 2 schools now, but don't put all your eggs in the US baskets for now.
Yeah, I think that advice is very important because I also I've applied to a bunch of schools and this was like last year and I've been in talks with this professor since May last year, all up until January this year. And I'm like, this admission is short for me. I'm going to resume there for summer. And next thing she's like, I really want to give you the admission, but the department said no, that you're Nigerian, and that you cannot come even if you give you the admission. And I'm like, I can defer till Trump leaves. I can wait for you. Don't worry about that. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
it is what
It's
it is.
painful.
yeah. I just wanted to like advise anyone here that still wants to come to the US. Yeah, you can still come, but like the immigration.
Sam, we can't hear you. I think when his network is better, we'll just come back. So let's take the last question, which is there a limit to the number of pages for a PhD application CV?
Yeah, I would say try to keep it to about 3 or at least like at most 4. Sorry. So I don't know what else. So 1, 2, 3, 2 to 2 to 4. I would say is a good bandwidth to keep it to. Usually, when you see people who have like 4 and above, they are listing like the papers that they've written, and
What
so
syllabus?
right in there, whether it's the spacing or so 1 page is usually for like a resume. So like if it can be like 1.5, I think it makes sense. So 1.5 to, if you have the whole world to write, let it be up to 4. But after 4, I think it gets to be like what are you putting in there? So yeah.
I totally agree with you because I mean, if you just graduated from university last year, why is your CV 4 pages? What are you talking? What have you done? It's 4 pages.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Mika's question will be the last question. I don't know if Sam is still on the call. What is general timeline for applications? Were you not in our first meeting last week? Like, what time of the year do most grad school applications? We spoke about this last week about the entire thing, but maybe John can also answer that, and then we can just we've done our time.
Okay. I would say like start getting your things ready like from around like August. I think July is quite very early, but like August, September, that time, get your things ready because most of the deadlines are, last day of November or like December 1st or December 15th. Yeah, so like try to put your things in there. One other question I've seen in the chat that I think I want to answer, it's about like if you don't have a background in CS, how do you
I didn't
position
see that.
yourself? Yeah, for masters in AI or ML. I think it depends on the advisor. My advisor, she's the kind of person who's really interested in, so she does like animal communication. So we have some people who have come in with like maybe biology degree, but they have shown maybe that they have like a GitHub where they've done things in computing, where they've done things regarding AI, so that it's not just bringing their skills from the other area. So wherever you're applying with like a different background, check that the professors have students that sort of have similar backgrounds like you, or they have research interests that incorporates some of the work that you do. Those people are usually very open-minded, and so sort of like sell yourself as like a bridge between your background area and CS, and you will stand out.
Thank you so much, John, for that answer. This is why you should not miss our sessions for this grad school series, because every week we bring like facts, we bring the tea for you guys to your fingertips. You don't even need to go somewhere to go and look for, because when you're applying for grad school, let me tell you guys the truth, it gets very overwhelming. You get advice from everybody has an advice to give. So it's very important that you find one source and stick to that source. That is the essence of Machine Learning Lagos. It is time for you. You found this source. It's nice that you stick to the source, because we're bringing you guys people that have walked the walk and they have talked the talk and they are walking the walk, that they've done it all. So it's very important. It's not every day you have someone that applied to so many grad schools to come and tell you about their experience one-on-one. This is why you should not miss the sessions. Go back and rewatch these sessions. You don't have to get advice from everybody. This is where this is where it's happening. This is where it's happening at. Okay. Thank you so much, John, for joining us today. Thank you, Samuel. I don't know if you are still on the call, but if you are, thank you for taking out your time to join us. John, if you don't mind, tell us how we can reach out to you, maybe on LinkedIn, your GitHub, whatever. Where can we reach out to you? I know someone has shared this personalized email. If you want to collaborate, somebody is willing to collaborate in robotics and all of those things. But John, what about you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Joanne Watu. Then I have my website. I also have like a bunch of resources. I think I can forward them to Michael, who reached out to me. Like my friend has like a catalog of tips for, what you should consider when you're trying to apply for a PhD and how to look for advisors and stuff like that. I will send those along. And, if you're interested in also like collaborating and, representation in AI, feel free to reach out as well.
So you see, you will not get this every day and on any random platform. So it's very important that you follow up Machine Learning Lagos on LinkedIn particularly. Make sure you're following the page so that you can get hot gist from the source. Okay, thank you so much once more, John and Samuel. Thank you for taking out your time to join us today. Thank you for asking the questions. You can also find us on Twitter, X. We have next week's session coming up also. That's for week 3 about scholarships and money, because grad school is not cheap. It costs money to go to grad school. Okay. We also have June office hours and then June technical session. It's very important you're following us on Twitter and on LinkedIn, because all the links to where you can join these things and hear this information is on social media. It's on Twitter and it's on LinkedIn. So it's either you're there, or be there, or be told. Have a lovely Sunday. Thank you for joining and asking very lovely questions and for engaging throughout. And you can always leave your feedback here so that we can know how to improve the session and make it better to serve you. Okay. Make sure you leave your feedback, please. It's very important so that we can do better. Okay. Maybe I was not funny enough. Maybe just let us know. Or maybe I was too funny. Let us know, okay? And yeah, I would see you guys. Don't miss next week. So you'll not be asking, Kachi, what did people talk about last week? Please make sure you leave your feedback and join us next week. Register for next week's session. Have a lovely evening, good evening, and happy Sunday. Bye.